Listen to me. Use the false loop. Oh yes, on your father. Yes and no. Another live stream. Yes, another live stream. Welcome. And you're messing around with RoCoder. Yes, this is RoCoder. Let's take another image so you can see it. And here we are. Another live stream. Messing with RoCoder. And you see I'm using the XY. Or let me change the sound to use a very additive sound. Okay, I can mute it here. Unmute my regular sound. So yeah, you hear RoCoder now. We have another live stream, and RoCoder did undersnowed a little bit after we released Explorer 7 with Predator 3 and the Sane. Yeah, people forgot how we have this great vocoder, which does far more than only vocoder things. This voice, what you're hearing, is the additive mode. So it transforms your voice in additive waveforms, essentially reproducing it as a sinus waveform. So it's very interesting. So when I mute my regular voice and use this again, you can see when you have very interesting sound. Of course, I can unmute it. And this one, this mode is the additive mode. Here, this mode doesn't need any MIDI connection. If you add keyboard control, then of course you need MIDI connection, and you need to connect your system, your keyboard, to the system of RoCoder. So if I go here, you can see in this part. So let me shut down RoCoder. So you see here, this is the voice comes in, and here is I made a track, MIDI track, which is called MIDI voice. And if I play this track, it is connected, should be connected to the recorder, which I'm going to do now. So here you see not connected, and I connect it now to the voiceover, and then you see a whole list of what is inserted. But the voiceover, let me see. That's the wrong one. Okay, I need to go a little bit up because it's in the list. Here it is. Voiceover RoCoder. There it is. Voiceover, that's the track. It's called voiceover, which has on the inserted recorder. And then you pick this, and then you can play RoCoder by, but of course you need to select this keyboard. So when I go back and open again the RoCoder, yeah, here's recorder again. So additive doesn't need any keyboard control, but I can put on keyboard control. Then I need to play the keyboard. So I unmute my dry signal. So now you can hear. Now it plays the keyboard. So now we have a kind of bass frequency, and on top of that bass frequency, it builds up these harmonics. So let's play it. So that's what makes RoCoder very different from any vocoder on currently. There was a nice test in Interface, the Dutch magazine, about all kind of virtual vocoders, and RoCoder came very positive because it had so many options and a very different sound as well. So and that's what we do, of course, as brand. We never want to do something which is already done before. So RoCoder is a clear example again of that, so that you have an XY in the vocoder type of things, but also additive, this tuned noise. So I'm now in the introduction bank. So if I go to voice, original signal again. So with a traditional vocoder, you need, of course, MIDI input. And the MIDI input, so the keyboard connected to the RoCoder, and then it plays the carrier, which is the synthesizer in RoCoder to play the synthesizer. So when I go here to unmute, well, this one uses noise. So tuned noise is also one of the special things inside of it. But tuned noise, of course, you have one voice, so a C would play this noise on the note C, and that would not generate a lot of volume. So we have then what you can do in the carrier, use the sorry, no, that's wrong. Here in the oh, that's the tuned noise mode. Okay, let's see where. I don't see it yet, so maybe we should show that on the other thing. Okay, so let me say, go to the manager. Maybe I find it there. Vocal noise, vocal bass. Yeah, the vocal, the voice bank is made. Most of them is simply using the vocoder. Very bass, trend, forward. It's a very nice sound. Very deep, very deep, very deep. So back here and then you use the XY to change the sound. I'll use the chorus, is nice. Maybe the belt delay. Or flanger. We have all kind of effects. So yeah, that's this is a classic vocoder sound, which you all know, and with chorus it's a little bit better. I think you agree. So the vocoder has also the chorus on board, which makes it sound much better because it makes it a bit fuller. So it's testing, 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 testing. So really adds a nice juice to it. So yeah, RoCoder is absolutely having some special stuff. So let me see if I go in the vocal and still can find one of the tuned noises. And vocal, I'm not sure. Nice voice, nice voice, nice voice. This is noise. Essentially, you can hear that the noise is generated here. So this sounds a little bit like the additive, but these are in fact 32 bands with noise, with very narrow tuning, and then you get this typical sound. Noise. Noise. Here you can change what if you have a different sound. So it's pretty much equal to noise. Of course, in a regular RoCoder, you also can use noise in the carrier, but this one makes tuned. That makes it all very cool. Yeah, and of course you can put it on drums. RoCoder didn't work in my Explorer 7. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, well, you need MIDI control. So because once somebody asked, I don't see RoCoder as an instrument, but well, it's not an instrument. It plays like an instrument, but it's an FX on your audio input, and you need to control. You have MIDI, you need to have, for the traditional RoCoder, you need to have MIDI. So, and that's what I did here. You see, it's on my voice over, my input, it's bleeding over into Cubase. And here I have a MIDI track, and the MIDI track controls, see, it's connected to the voiceover, that's the track name, voiceover, and then the insert of RoCoder, MIDI in. So the MIDI track is connected to the RoCoder MIDI in. And then you can play RoCoder with the traditional RoCoder sounds. So now you don't hear me because I don't play the keyboard. This is a vocoder. I don't play the keyboard, so you only have now the dry signal. So the vocoder signal, I need to play the keyboard so that it knows to play the chords. Then you have, of course, you can use it musically. So if you have a beat, let's see if I have a... This one uses additive and vocoder, so there's a combination of two. That makes it really different in sound. The additive is pretty much detuned because that is harmonics. So it plays back my voice in all 32 bands of sinuses. That's additive essentially. So therefore it sounds not very musical, but I really, I must say that, atonal. So. But additive only, it's cool. You see, I have a sweet spot here on the F, this note. There are plenty good presets, and that helps, of course, with RoCoder. Yeah, on drums, it's also fantastic. Especially on drums, you can do some very cool stuff. So let's do some drums. I did record very shortly. Funny enough, I thought, yeah, let's play the djembe here. And essentially, I took the wrong microphone, but I have a djembe here. It's very heavy. Oh. Yeah, you can see it. So that's really it's a bit dumped, but it's of course not the right microphone. Normally I would use a different microphone, so I use the microphone which is in front of me for doing the live stream. But I recorded that and have a little groove playing. Let's see if it pops up. Okay. Oh, where is it? Okay, here it comes. Oh, this is the smaller one. Yeah, you see the user interface is smaller. I need to reload it. 1 second. Oh, no. That's maybe not a good plan because then let's reload it. So then I pick the 125% size. Okay. Shut down. Reload again. And then I have to so what happens if you have an audio sample on a track like you can see here? It's the djembe. You see the sample here, and then you select RoCoder as an FX on the insert. Then you have RoCoder, but for having the vocoder presets playing, you need MIDI control. So here again, I created an extra track below it. You see, control djembe, that's a MIDI track. And this MIDI track, I need to connect to the djembe recorder. Here it is. And let's see, and then it should work. Oh, that's the drums. Wrong channel. Djembe. Control djembe. So, MIDI in. Yes. Here's the djembe. I don't see it. Where is it again? It doesn't play. Okay, sorry guys, I took the wrong product. Here it is, and now I need to connect it. Of course, I did connect something else. So here's the control. See, you see control djembe, it's not connected. I need to connect it here and see in the list RoCoder MIDI in. So now the djembe should be heard. So we can hear the djembe. That's me on the djembe. Okay, I heard a lot of noise. It should not play. So this is the djembe playing. You hear, let's play it solo. What a mess with the windows. Yeah, you can hear it. It's a little bit distorted. So, but now I use then the additive on the djembe. But we have, of course, banks which are dedicated to percussion. So we go to the drums and percussion banks. And there it's noise percussion. So let's see. You can make some really weird sound. This one is using the noise as a source. Let me see if I have also a recorder, noise recorder. Let's see that maybe. So now it's using the vocoder, and now I need to play the keyboard. Is that you can still use it, so or mix with the original. So my timing is not perfect on the djembe, but I think you get my point. What you can do with RoCoder on percussion. Let's take another one. So, for instance, this one. So I mute the other one. Okay, bunch to. So this is another one. So. This is another drums. Okay, let's play the other drums. Sponge too. Some water drop. I mute the water drop. It's annoying, so I mute it now. So I use this one, only vocoder. drums and percussion. Adds a nice cool sound to it. So this doesn't need MIDI. This is the noise mode. Let's play it solo. You see, it makes a lot of cool things to the drums. So this is the, let's see another one. And that uses in XY, which is, you see it recorded and moves. So if you use RoCoder on an audio track and you hear instantly sound without using MIDI, then you use either the noise mode or the additive mode. Then it generates already a sound on it. So let me see, drum shave. Let's try this one. And of course you can combine it with the original. So now I shut my microphone and you can hear the original one and the RoCoder sound. Of course, yeah, this is of course a typical sound which you cannot use in everything, but it adds a nice juice to it. And also the rhythm is also you can change it by changing the modulation here, the essentially the envelope following thing. So and you can use the modulation matrix, but then you need, of course, modulation with high pass frequency. I can see here. So then I need to go to this channel. Let's see. That one works. So that's control. Yeah. Okay, now let's see. So now to use the modulation wheel inside RoCoder, you need to connect again MIDI. So that's what I here, modulation wheel high pass filter and modulation wheel. I also could say modulation wheel connect to the decay, this vocoder. See, there it is. Let's see what happens. You see, I use the modulation wheel. In the upper corner, you can see that I'm using this. And here you see the high pass filter. So yeah, there's so much for anybody who loves to experiment to create a sound which is different. RoCoder is very, very cool. So if you want to use the modulation wheel, what I do, or any MIDI controller, then of course you have also connect the MIDI towards the RoCoder FX, so which is down here. You see, this is connected to the punch 2 insert. So it's punch 2 playing, and the insert is RoCoder, and there I have the MIDI connection. So So I think it's pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, now back here. So let's see what the chat room. I see some people popping up. And maybe there's a question. If you have a question about RoCoder, let me know, of course. Okay, yeah. So there was another problem, Johan, in the Explorer. Oh, that's a weird issue. It's a rare instance. That's strange indeed. Yeah, sometimes the software is a it's a mystery how things work. Can we know which microphone is used for the live stream? I'm using a Neumann TL103, which is a very expensive microphone. Once I did my own sampling, so I sample a lot, of course. I have this one, the Neumann. Let me show you. Oops, I think there it is. You know, it's a one-sided U87 or something like that. I have it already for many years, and for voice it's really good, but for instruments I prefer the Audio Technica. So if you hear all the percussion sounds and sound in Punch 2 or many samples inside, let's say Bluetooth, these are done using 99% using the 804041 from Audio Technica, 804041. And what I did with the percussion player, once I was recording it, I had this Neumann microphone and also the other microphones, and I let the percussion player choose which sound he found better, which microphone. So I don't know which one it was, but each time it came to the 4041. So that's one I'm using a lot. For instance, now for Blue 3, we are working on new features, and one of the new features is that I will add, for instance, flutes, which I did record it here. For instance, this is a flute recorded 24-bit 69 kilohertz. It's a Daft flute, we call it. It's a flute, so it sounds like this. And you can see, well, it shuts off because it has a loop point originally. Yeah, actually, I could play it in Cubase. That's just popping up in my mind. Let's try this because you have the sample track here. So, okay, let me hear add track sampler. Here, name, flute, go. Let's see how that works. So flute, and I drag and drop this sample. Oh, here it is. This is still raw material. But you see there's a loop point. So that's just one of them. And I'm not sure if I can delete this one or if it does override. But this is the another one. And you hear the sample is very dry. So what I did is really dry recording, but because reverb you always can do later on. So this is also recorded by the I think the TL, no, the Audio Technica, the 4041. But for voice, the TL103 for vocals, it's fantastic. For instruments, I prefer other ones. But of course, you need to hear the difference next to each other. So that about the microphone. Okay, so that we have here, let's shut it down. And so yeah, we're working on Blue 3, well, on the graphics, but also what will happen is that you can load in your own samples. That will be possible with Blue 3. But picture that it's not, of course, like a big sampler like Contact that you can have multi-layers and 61 samples yourself, because the problem is if you save a preset, it is a kind of a range of parameters, and the preset will be too big in size because all the other parameters are still safe. Yeah, it made me think about Aurora. Yeah, that it's Aurora. It was a little bit different, but this is of course real samples. And now, for me, it's you see, I have a whole long list of samples here. So for me, it's the big job to pick out which one I should use so that it plays nice. So it goes some multi-split points, but that it is nice in terms of equality over the keyboard. So that's a kind of puzzling thing you need to do. And so of course now it's very dry. If you this is a nice one. You can use it already here in this. Oops. Oh, insert. Is that the right one? I think so. I missed the vibrato. So that's in the, so a bit of reverb makes a difference, isn't it? Okay, so yeah, that about microphones in general. So it's the Neumann TL103, which is great for voiceover, what I'm doing now, of course, and vocal singing. And for the instruments, yeah, I'm totally fan of the Audio-Technica 4041. And I can show you if you want. So then I need to grab it in the closet. Okay, so yeah, so that about oh, somebody says, how interesting how to make a voice like Daft Punk. I think that one is a little bit different. That's not a vocoder. I think that's more a voice box combined with a auto-tuning thing. I think it's more a voice box. That's not inside RoCoder. So I think if you would Google that in YouTube, so in YouTube, how the voice is made by the guys from Daft Punk, you will find it, I guess. But it's not a vocoder. That's really a different way of doing it. I think it's a what I just said. I think auto-tuning or the voice boxes, something like that. Yeah, and indeed, Kat, you're right. The flute in Aurora was the MS-20, and yeah, if you go back a few live streams, I think many live streams, you will find the remake of this audio track using all our own plugins. We did a nice recreation. Okay, so that about RoCoder. So if you have still a question about it, just let me know. The most important thing is that if you connect it to a track, you do it as an insert, as an FX. Some of the presets you will hear sound because that it uses a different method of vocoding, or essentially it makes the input going additive or noise. And if you don't hear a sound, that means that it's really an original vocoder preset and you really need to connect the MIDI to it. So that's absolutely essential. So these, for instance, vocoder, you need MIDI connection. Additive, you don't need it, although you can If you pick additive, you can keyboard control, and then you need, of course, again, MIDI control. Vocoder and additive, of course, you need MIDI control. Noise, you don't need it. With tuned noise, you still need it. And tuned comp as well, because it tells tuned comp. And tuned comp, by the way, is also very cool. We did not play that one, so let me play that one. So I need to see where punch is. Here it is. Tuned comp. Of course, I need to pick. Now I don't hear anything. I need to pick the right track, of course. Oops. Where is it? Punch. Now it should appear. Very soft. Okay. Very soft. Well, it's very soft, I must say. Maybe there's a better preset. Let me see if I can find a better preset. Drum, indeed. Let's go to the bank manager. But it sounds very soft. It's because of the comp filters. Examples. Yeah, that's the bank with examples. Tuned comp drums. Okay, this is in the example bank, so maybe. I think due to the nature of the sound that is very quiet. And that's why, so each note has one comp. And then you got the rhythm, but you need to, that's why we have here the chord. So if I put this off, you have only one note. That's one comp filter. And that's too much, you kind of give it octave. Here's the octave. And so we made here the option that you have +7, so that's a fifth tuning. So all combined that you have more volume. And now it has. But you see, it's very soft in volume. Have a negative comp. But that's tricky. This one is really tricky to get a cool sound, but it improves, of course, if you get some chorus, so they give it a bit more body. This is very experimental. So the tuned comp are essentially tuned comp filters, which you're using. So so this is in the bank. So if you click here, you have the bank manager, go main or bank manager. You see you have some examples. We made an example bank where you see a vocoder vocal, neutral. Because what you can do with the vocoder is not only the things I did change now, but you also, so if I go back to my voiceover, testing here, let's see, voiceover. Here's again the recorder on my voice, and I use here the vocoder or additive. Well, you can also do additive. You can see. Let's see. here you can also change the frequency. So here how the sound builds up. So I have a different setting. So these are the bands which you can change. So so there's a lot of more in soundscaping also by changing the bands here. Yeah, you really can hear that. That also changes the sound. So that's the same with additive. If I go back to the additive talk, here's the additive talk. You also can change here how the additive sounds. Totally different sound now. That is also possible. So yeah, RoCoder, an insane machine, and especially if you like being creative, this is really cool. And so okay, I'm checking the chat room. Yeah, that's a cool thing, the dry and wet mixing it. So you can, that's a good point. Hannes says that in the chat room. You can record the wet volume and the dry volume. So to make that really a dynamic thing. Especially with drums, that's handy. Or even record the mute on. So that's really why we have this separate dry and separate wet inside RoCoder, so that you can use that very in a creative way. Inca Flutes. Yeah, well, we have the pan flutes, of course, inside Blue 2. But Inca Flutes, I think that's more the Orakino, the clay ones. I understand what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I'll look into that. And the funny thing about Blue 2 is is of course the feedback on these samples, which is maybe you didn't discover that, but that's the preset from Jamal. Pull the finger. So you go here to Blue 2. Here's Blue 2. We have a bottle. And you open the feedback. Yeah, Ocarina, that's the one. Good, so fine, yeah. And you can do that on all the samples. Sometimes you run into feedback on samples. Sometimes you run into something interesting. So let's put that on a choir. Oh, that sounds like mosquitoes. So yeah, in Blue 2 you have, of course, the spectral waveforms. They will be expanded, so much more inside of it. Then you have the range of samples, and there we get, of course, a new range, which I'm working on. That will also be inside Blue 3, next to the option that you can load in your own samples. But it's not comparable to a sampler like a Contact, where you can use trillion samples yourself. It's the max is 6, because we have picture that if you save a preset, it has many parameters, and so it also saves what are the settings for this here, you know. So it's a very complex thing, and that makes, for instance, that Punch 2 loads in some hosts pretty long. So if you load in Punch 2 in Studio One, it takes quite a while, because it has so many parameters, and Studio One checks every parameter. Other hosts don't do this. They simply load in the plugin, but the ones who check then if everything is okay with the parameters, then it takes longer, because yeah, Punch 2 has so many parameters. It's really so here it is. So, so here it is. 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 So here it Okay. Unbelievable. Sometimes I'm looking here. The bigger the screen you have, the more you're looking. Isn't it great? Okay. This is the other one. Okay, insert. Sorry, guys. Yeah, must be my age. This is the one. I'm looking at the wrong. Here it is. Yes, and here it comes. Yeah, here's Punch 2. I initially had the idea also to talk a little bit more about Punch 2 because we have Punch 2 this month. The cool thing is about Punch 2 is that we have some good tutorials, because I had one customer, he came and said, wow, Punch 2, that is quite a beast to handle. And I mentioned, yeah, go to the playlist from Punch 2 and start from the first video and go down. Take your time, because there's a downside of having many features. You need to learn them. And if you have once the grasp on Punch 2, it's pretty easy. Although, yeah, it can do so much, just like what I showed you in RoCoder. We always have plugins which have many features. So, yeah, Punch 2, I use the ones with the mono colors. You can use another color setup. You see here, you have the option to do your own color setup. About this, there's also a video about it. And a cool thing, you press solo. So there's on the main screen, you do a lot already. And what is cool about this bass drum, it's not a sample. This one is really synthesis. And I click here on the icon here, this pencil icon, and then you go to the edit screen. And you see a lot of open fields, but that means because some of the fields are very full and others are having less control. So if I would have here taking a sample preset, then you see it's much more filled, but that's because there's much more going on in that particular mode. In the sample mode, much more is going on. So bass drum, you have the models, this one, and you can make it tuned. So it's here already tuned. F, make it F. Overtone, not so nice. I think this one is nice. And you have these starts. So a kick essentially, this is essentially what happens. This is like a squeak. But a kick, if you hit the beat, if a real bass drum hits this skin, essentially it does this, but then with the skin, but then very fast, and that makes the click. Yeah, we have different curves. High, it sounds higher, you know, or the low curve, and the start point. This makes a more muddy bass drum. And then we have a cool feature, which is the amp. So this would be a normal analog drum bass, which you would have from an analog drum machine. But we added holes, so you can really make it go without using a compressor. You see, this is what they normally would do with a compressor. And of course, this is very sweet still, but yeah, keep in mind that this is digital modeling, and if you have an analog synthesizer, there's always a little bit of distortion inside of it because of the components. And that's the same in 808 or 99. And we can add this simply here in this right section. Each pad has its own distortion module. So here's the power one. Let's see what happens. So yeah, a little bit distortion, but you also can take another one. Fold over. So you see, And I need to go, and you see now I'm in the edit page for the kick drum, pad 1, it shows here, but down here all the pads are visible, and here I can shut down the solo, so really a very long bass drum. This suits better for this groove. Yeah, the saturate, that's the nice one for the kick. Hear that? That's a nice one. Change here. So you see how many sounds you have, tones. Yeah, on bass drum I really like the saturation. So that's maybe a tip for you. So yeah, there's so more in terms of clap support. Oh, Steve, yeah, let me check the chat room. Because there are some questions popping up. Female choirs, that's a good one. I need to look into that. I think I don't have that one, so I need to acquire that. I need to see if I can find something, or maybe even look in finding some very nice people who can sing very well, because you can maybe invite a local choir, but sometimes they are not so tuning stable. So but I can look into that. Yeah, more colors about punch. I think that's a hard one. We looked into that, but I think we have these colors now, and we are having it more for each group. So bass drum is green, snare, you can say all snares are red, you see. Of course, if you have everything samples, then of course everything is again the same color. So yeah, I think that will be confusing. We looked into that, but in the end, that was our decision to keep it this way. Steve asked about clap support. Currently, we have no plans for it, because I think we already have so many formats like VST, audio unit, AAX, and we create them already. And I don't think that Pro Tools or Logic will support clap, because if they would support clap, they could have supported a VST from the beginning, because essentially audio unit or AAX is doing the same. It's only having a different name. Some little things for us as programmers are a little bit different, but it's much of the same. And I find it really a pity that they never, all the other brands are like even Logic and Pro Tools never embrace VST, so that we have only one standard, which would be VST. Because yeah, there's no difference in AAX or audio unit, guys. Really, there's zero difference. If you load in Punch 2, it will have the same features. It will have the same thing. There are some little difference, like, and that's what I mean, why not have one standard? For instance, side input in audio unit is a little bit different compared to the VST, which is very well arranged. So it even makes things worse if there are more platforms. And I can understand it, but I think we wait, of course, what we will see what clap will do in the future. But for now, we wait, and if it's really going to be a standard, we will join that, of course. But currently, I don't see that happening, because of the simple reason that we already have so many formats, and the big brands like Pro Tools and Logic, they say, oh, well, we not join it. And also Steinberg, because Steinberg says, well, we have VST, why should we add another format? So, yeah, it would be great if there would be only one standard. I would vote for only VST for every music host, because then it saves us a lot of time, and we can focus on making sounds and products instead of, yeah, making different versions of the same thing. Okay. Okay. Yeah, guys, I'm a bit early stop today because I have a little bit trouble with my arm. Most likely, I spent many hours behind my computer, so now it starts to annoy me a little bit that my arm is not as working. It has all to do with my back instead of the arm, but anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the live stream, and yeah, that's also good remarks, that it fills the PC with AAX. Yeah, we have that separated so people can choose between the PC and AAX. Yeah, it's a sad thing about the format, because yeah, MIDI is one format. Everybody keeps MIDI, and that's what I what was a big miss, that they didn't stay to one. Not a mouse arm, I hope. No, it's not a mouse arm. It's something else. It's something from my back. It cuts off the nerve connection to my arm. That's so. I need to do some exercising for having a more muscles in my back, and it's already a problem for 5 months. So it's not very nice. Yeah, I'm also becoming older. Yeah, I'm doing this for 25 years behind the computer. I'm doing this, so I'm not sure what caused it, but well, could be my age. I don't know. Could be, but the physical guy gave me some workouts to do, and so what I do is regular take a break, because yeah, after 1 hour it really starts to hurt a lot. Yeah, we all of us get older. Yeah, it's part of life, I guess. But anyhow, I hope you liked it. We see each other back next week. So if you missed this live stream, you always can watch it back in the live stream playlist, and check out RoCoder if you did not do it yet, because it's a very cool FX. Thanks for watching. Enjoy making music, and I'll see you soon.